Hello Wargamers, I'm Evasive Ramnus. Today I'm going to be talking about Pathfinders as a fast attack option in the Tau Empire Codex. But before I get started, I just want to say thanks for watching. If you like the video, I think you know what to do. Leave your comments below. Let me know what you think of Pathfinders, how you use them, what their strengths and weaknesses are. And of course, please subscribe. It helps out a lot. Alright, so Pathfinders, they are pretty iconic for the Tau. You hear a lot of people talking about them, and a lot of people take them. And in fact, they should be in most Tau Empire armies. They're a fast attack option, like I said, 11 points a model, and generally a unit consists of between 4 to 10 models, although units on the smaller end are generally more common. They have the Scout special rule, so that allows them to have better positioning right off the bat at the start of the game, and their most notable asset is their marker lights. And that's really what you should be using them for, and that shapes a lot of the options that you're going to take with them. Marker lights are really important for how Pathfinders function, and so if you are not using those marker lights, you're going to make some choices that may not necessarily be optimal. As far as how they've changed since the past, or the last Codex, they no longer need to take a devilfish, so you don't have to pay the devilfish tax in order to take these guys with you. And they can take some new drones that do some interesting things, unique drones that no one else can take in the Tau army. But they also have a lower armor save. They used to have a 4-up just like Fire Warriors, but now they have a 5-up, so you're going to be relying on cover a lot more. And like I said, they should be in pretty much every Tau army. Okay, so Pathfinders, yeah, they're cool, but what about the options? Well, like I was saying earlier, you're generally going to want to use these guys just for the marker lights. That's their strongest point, and so if you want to capitalize on them, you should be focusing mostly on the marker lights. So the options that the Pathfinders can take are generally going to be not that beneficial, or in fact detrimental for a marker light unit. So as a whole, options are generally not worth it. And I would suggest to run the unit naked. But let's go down the list just in case you do want to take them, and really sort out the pros and cons of each of these options. So the first one is that you can upgrade one Pathfinder to be a Shazui. Just like Fire Warrior unit, you can upgrade a Pathfinder to be a Shazui, which basically has a leadership bonus. Instead of leadership 7, he's leadership 8, and he also has access to some special war gear. Unlike Fire Warriors, he already has a marker light, so while some people say that they would like to take Shazui and Fire Warrior units for the marker light, you don't need to do that because he already has one. So you're really doing it just for the leadership bonus and for the war gear. But it's a pretty high price to pay for a leadership bonus if there's a ethereal on the table, especially if there's an ethereal on the table, which you should be benefiting from his leadership bubble more or less with your Pathfinder unit, depending on how you deploy it. On that note, like I said earlier, reduced armor save means that you're going to want these guys in cover, preferably in ruins, but any cover will do because of their relatively low armor save. So if you can have them in cover and near an ethereal, they should be a lot more durable than if they're just standing out in the open, which is true for a lot of units, so that shouldn't be a big surprise. The other thing that the Shazui does is allow you access to the drone list, right? You can't take drones normally, but you can take them if you take the Shazui. So the 3 options that you have there, since you can't take missile drones, which would be interesting, but still probably the same verdict that they're not worth it for a Pathfinder team. So you can take the 3 normal types of drones: marker light drones, shield drones, and gun drones. Marker drones, they're 1 point more expensive for a marker light. Pathfinders are 11 points, marker drones are 12 points. So the only real reason to take them is if you're at a unit that's at full capacity. So if you have a full unit of 10 Pathfinders and you want 12, you're going to take marker drones. But really, that's kind of, you're not getting that much bang for your buck, especially since the benefit of the marker drone is that it has jump, shoot, jump, and a better armor save. He can't capitalize on that because he has to stay with Pathfinder unit, so he can't jump, shoot, jump. And he also has a lower ballistic skill than a Pathfinder too, so not really a strong choice with the marker drone. Shield drones, no one's going to be shooting anything with an AP value lower than 4 at your Pathfinders, so really no reason to have a shield drone as opposed to one of these other two types of drones. So that guy's even less worth it. Gun drone, you should probably be out of range for a gun drone. So yeah, a gun drone has a little bit better armor save, but you should be out of range for pulse carbines for the most part, and so the gun drone's really not going to contribute much to the army, or I mean to the unit. Yeah, so as a whole, drones don't make a lot of sense for Pathfinders, especially these drones here. Back to the Shazwi. So he probably is not worth the points, and I wouldn't recommend taking him. You also have options to take 3 of the new special drones, the utility drones that only Pathfinders can take, and those are the recon drone, the grav-inhibitor drone, and the pulse accelerator drone. They're all really neat in concept. I like that Pathfinders have something kind of cool about them, other than just being fire warriors with marker lights, and now crappier armor. Having the access to these new drones is kind of a nice fluff piece, but the utility that they bring is marginal, and I'll tell you why. So recon drone basically allows you to choose a board edge for outflanking units to come in on if the Pathfinders are close to that edge, and it also prevents scattering within 6 inches of the Pathfinder unit. So really, I probably won't be deep striking anything within 6 inches of a Pathfinder unit to begin with, so that's kind of meh. And choosing a board edge, the only thing I'm going to be outflanking is Kroot, and Kroot should have a Kroot Hound with them, which gives them acute senses. So having being able to choose that table edge shouldn't be that big a deal, because I'll have a pretty good chance of getting the board edge I want anyway, and then with acute senses I get to re-roll what board edge I come in on anyway. So being able to choose the specific board edge isn't that great. The one thing that it could be good for is if you wanted to come in on your opponent's back table edge, whereas that normally wouldn't be an option, right? You could only come on left or right or choose. You could actually come in on the opposite board edge and come in from behind, but that has really limited applications, because your Pathfinders, because marker lights are heavy weapons, shouldn't be moving. So there's not really a good way for them to be up against that board edge to begin with. So the number of times, if you wanted to get your Pathfinder team in contact with that far board edge, you'd have to give up at least a turn of marker light shots, which generally probably isn't worth it. So so recon drone's kind of a thud. It also has a burst cannon, but who cares? The grav-inhibitor drone is again not a cool one. That's probably the one that has the most promise out of the 3. But really, it'd probably only be good, in my opinion, if you were to put Darkstrider in the unit, just because Darkstrider allows you to move away from the opponent when they charge, and the grav-inhibitor drone reduces the distance that they charge. So when you combine those two, it can actually add up a little bit. But the grav-inhibitor drone only allows you to take a few inches off of the opponent's charge range, which sometimes it can make a difference, but I would just assume not worry about it. And the pulse accelerator drone allows you to fire pulse shots a little bit farther 6 inches. And like I said, you should be using your guns for marker lights, not for pulse carbine shots in most cases. And if you are using it for pulse carbine shots, something has probably gone wrong. You are using those pulse carbine shots in kind of a last-ditch effort. So, having the extra 6 inches of range probably isn't going to make a difference in that case. So, yeah, so the special utility drones for Pathfinders are cool in theory, but not something that you necessarily want to take or should take. In fact, I would argue that there are better places for your points. All right. Another option, another option is that they can take some unique weapons. I was just going to say I should have brought my rail rifle guy out here, but he's not here now, so he's here in spirit. Yeah, he's here in spirit for the review. So they come with marker lights and carbines like I've just been talking about, but you can also take an ion rifle or a rail rifle, and these both provide some stronger firing options, but nothing that really can't be covered by other units like crisis suits or a Riptide or anything like that, which probably do it a lot better and on a much better platform because they can jump, shoot, jump. They're a lot more durable, and you're not sacrificing a marker light shot to do that. So, yeah, ion rifles and rail rifles are generally pretty expensive too, especially considering what I said, that they're not the optimal location for that type of weaponry. I wouldn't recommend taking them. Again, Pathfinders are meant for marker lights. The last few options that you have with these guys are pretty basic. You can use a bonding knife on them. See my other video for that. It's probably not worth it. If these guys are going to die, they are probably all going to die, just because they're so flimsy. EMP grenades, you shouldn't be close enough to use EMP grenades with Pathfinders. If a vehicle gets close enough to your Pathfinders that you can use EMP grenades, yeah, the chances of that happening are pretty low for most part. And the third option that you can do is put these guys in dedicated transport, Devilfish, which I mentioned at the top of the video, they no longer have to take. It's no longer compulsory, but you can still do it. But Pathfinders really shouldn't be moving around that much because if they're moving, they're not firing their marker lights, which are heavy weapons. So, Devilfish can be beneficial if you needed to move them, but you shouldn't be moving them. So I would just assume not take one, especially with the weaknesses in hull points and stuff like that, right? So, yeah. That's a review. As a summary, I'd say run units naked. You probably want to prioritize the number of units over the size of each unit. So units of 5, 6 are probably better than, 2 units of 5 is probably better than 1 unit of 10. And the reason why I say that is because then you can marker light 2 units instead of marker lighting only a single target. And that gives you a little bit more versatility. And if you did want just that 1 unit to go down, you could fire both units at that one target, and it'd do the same thing. So it also makes you less vulnerable to shooting attacks, right? So yeah, I would prioritize number of Pathfinder units over the size of any particular unit. But if you wanted to have 30 Pathfinders in your army list, which probably is a little overkill, you could do that. But I would first start with 2 or 3 units of 5 is probably where I would start. 5 is better than 4, of course, because if you lose 1 Pathfinder, then you don't take a leadership with a unit of 5, but you do take a leadership test on a unit of 4, right? 20 versus 25%. So, cool. Thanks for watching. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and I'll let you guys know what's happening in the next review. Thanks.